What's up, guys? Old man Logan here today with a video kind of going through 6 months into the new generation of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. I think we can stop calling them next gen now because they are out. They've been out for a little over 6 months. And I kind of want to break down. I got little five things I want to talk about, the pros and cons between each systems, and kind of give you my overall of which one I would prefer the most. So we're going to talk about one first, system setup. Now, both of these systems, the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, are both great with system setup, especially if you have the Xbox app or the PlayStation app, because you can do a lot of your initial setup processes when you hook these systems up to your TV right on the app while your system's downloading whatever updates it needs and stuff like that to get set up for you to play. So like that is great, very user friendly, very easy to figure out. You know, nothing. You just boom, do stuff on the app, and then before you know, while you're doing all this stuff, your system's updating, so you're not having to sit there wait for an update before you can do the system setup and stuff like that. So that was very nice to be able to get into your system a lot quicker and a lot easier and a lot faster. So both with the system setups, great across the board between the Series X and the PlayStation 5. Then for game installs, now this is where I'm gonna get a little upset with Xbox and the way that they handled their installs. So since the Xbox Series X is part of the Xbox ecosystem, with their cross-gen games with Xbox Series X and Xbox One games, they have smart delivery, which is great when you got games that are doing Series X upgrades and stuff like that you already own. Saints Row Remastered just put out one. Ghost Recon, The Division, they've all put out these patches and stuff to upgrade on the Series X that make the games better and run better on the system. But this is where I get a little antsy. So here I got Yakuza Like a Dragon, great game, wonderful Japanese RPG. I would highly recommend for anybody to play. But here it is. If you see in the top, instead of this saying Xbox One, now it says Xbox Series X plus Xbox One. So you get both versions of the game on your system. So when you pop open the game, stuff like that, you buy it from a retailer. You got your game right here. You pop this baby in your system. My biggest gripe right now is the fact that most of the Series X upgrades are actually not on the disc. So the data that's actually on the disc is the Xbox One version. And then so if you want to install that, you can do that, but it'll pop up if you have your system connected to the internet that you can upgrade to the Series X version of the game, and that basically is literally you downloading the entire game onto your hard drive. That's the same with Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, or some of the bigger ones I can bring and point out to you that are like that. Where on the other hand, I should say, if you buy Returnal on a PlayStation 5, which I would recommend if you like roguelike games, or Demon Souls if you like Soulsborne games, when you take this game, you put it in the PlayStation 5, it installs the PlayStation 5 version of the game. So that's like one thing that's kind of frustrating with the Xbox over PlayStations. When you buy the game, you're more than likely, at least right now when we're in this cross-gen gap, you're going to be downloading the whole entire game, even if you buy it physically versus actually playing the game. Just straight off of the disc or installing off of the disc, whatever you want to call it. So game installs, I would definitely give the advantage on the PlayStation side. Now there is I know there is some weird stuff with like the upgrade processing on the PlayStation 5. So I will say that the nice thing about the Series X is when they do an update for a game on the Series X, if it'd be like Marvel Avengers when they did the Series X and PlayStation 5 upgrade. On Xbox, it just downloads an update for the game, makes that game Xbox Series X compatible with upgrades and stuff like that. Where PlayStation 5, you have to download a whole different version of the game. And it's like it's a whole separate entity. So you'll have a whole. So I mean, if you're a trophy hunter, that'd be great, because guess what? You get another whole set of trophies for the PlayStation 5 version of the game. So I would say like cross-gen updating, the Xbox is definitely a lot better. But as a install just from the disc, the PlayStation 5 has the advantage. So right there, right off the bat, if you don't have the best internet, stuff like that might take you longer to get your Series X version of the game versus the PlayStation 5. Obviously, both systems are going to have game updates, stuff like that. That's just how things are nowadays. So that could be a little factor. So I would say PlayStation holds, the actual install base of the disc install good. And then, but I would give Xbox a side of updating your games. Also, if we're talking about game installs, stuff like that, I'll get back into doing FPS boost and stuff like that a little bit more. And then if we want to look at the UI of stuff, so I would give this to Xbox as well. If you're an Xbox One user, Xbox One X user, the dashboard that you are using right now, currently using, is the Series X dashboard. So if you're going from one system to the other, guess what? You don't have to learn anything new. Everything's boom right off the bat. It's right there. You kind of have everything already set up for you, especially when you log into your tag. It remembers everything. It's just how you would have left it from your Xbox One to your Series X. Your background, your gamer picture, all that stuff, boom, is the same. PlayStation's UI is different than the PS4's, so there is that learning curve. There is where you got to figure out stuff. The other thing that I like that I would give Xbox the advantage to is cloud saves. Cloud saves can bounce between platform, whether it's Xbox One, Xbox One X, cloud, streaming on PC, downloading games off of there. Your cloud save will go wherever, whenever, and it's just boom, it's right there. So I would give Xbox, like, if you're if you bounce around, or if you have, say if you have a system downstairs or if you have a system upstairs and stuff like that, and you kind of switch between where you play, whether you're at a friend's house, stuff like that. Your cloud save will go wherever with you on Xbox. Really relatively easy. That was the one thing I had a trouble with on the PS5, was trying to figure out how do I get my cloud saves. There wasn't any clear instructions, especially in the setup. It would have been nice if in the setup process they had, well, do you want to pull any of your cloud save data straight from your PlayStation 4 cloud and download those right off the bat? Because I think that would have been helpful. You actually got to go through the menus and try to find where you can do that option. So finding your cloud save data and stuff like that is a lot more easier, especially when you save. That stuff goes right up to Xbox Cloud. Where PlayStation, I think it does auto updates, but sometimes you'll have to manually send it up to cloud as well, if you want it like right then and there updated. So if we're looking at just like the UIs, I would definitely give Xbox over the PlayStation UI. Even though the PlayStation UI is really nice, I kind of like it a little bit better than the PlayStation 4 UI. It looks a little bit more fancier and stuff like that. I think it's like a 4K resolution, where I think Xbox is 1080, but it's a UI, so I don't really care about the resolution of a desktop screen, basically, because that's not what we're getting into. And so then if we want to talk about, so the next thing we're going to talk about is obviously the games on both systems. If we want to look at, if you're looking at, say, like exclusive titles, so if you're into Sony, this is where I kind of get like, your choice of platform is probably going to be where you've already been. So I've been on Xbox a little bit longer. I mean, I've owned all consoles. I've owned PlayStation 2, 3, 4, 5. But I got into Xbox on the 360, so 360, Xbox One, Series X. And so it kind of like, if you only have $500 and you're gonna buy one console, I don't think there's gonna be any need to jump from one platform to the other. Now, like I said, this depends on what you want to play. If you want to play like, great exclusive single players games, don't mind. We ain't talking about Godfall. That's not single player. It's an exclusive PlayStation 5 game. It's terrible. I don't even know why I had it over here. Don't play Godfall. Don't give them your money. Terrible game. Segue. If you want to play, like great games like Demon Souls, Returnal, Spider-Man. I got Spider-Man over here somewhere. I got Spider-Man. Spider-Man Miles Morales. It's just the way it wasn't sitting over here. Those are just games I grabbed. Spider-Man Miles Morales, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which those two games, I will say, are on PlayStation 4, but they look and play a lot better on PlayStation 5, especially Spider-Man. I could not imagine what that would be like on PlayStation 4. I haven't even wanted to look up any videos, but like the instant loads, the instant when you go in from one building to the city, great, especially now that they have ray tracing 60 FPS mode enabled. That game is probably one of my favorite games that came out last year. It still has an impact. Like, I still think about it. I'm still excited for the next Spider-Man game coming out. But and then if you're looking at, what's coming out on the horizon, which segue into Horizon Forbidden West just had a 14-minute gameplay showing, which looks beautiful. I'm excited to play it. I'm excited to see what Guerrilla's got in store for us. I loved uh, Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought it was a great game. So if you're looking for, platform specific Sony first party titles, the PlayStation 5 is definitely going to be where to go, especially if you're looking for God of War Ragnarok whenever that comes out. Hopefully Sony's got something right around the corner that will show what that looks like. So the games are definitely, I would lean way towards more on Sony side. They had a huge amount of banger first party titles for when the consoles come out. They have tons of stuff already. Ratchet and Clank is only 10 days away, which I'm freaking excited for Ratchet and Clank. And so it's like they have the exclusive first party titles by far. I would lean so heavily towards to PlayStation for that if that's what you're looking for. Now on the Xbox side, I would say with the games on the Xbox side, I do play more on my Xbox than I do my PlayStation. My PlayStation is more like the exclusive games and stuff like that, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. That's why I like PlayStation solely for the exclusive games. I play most of my third party titles on Xbox. It's just how I've been. It's just what I've done. It's just a habit. It's just what I continue to do. So the first party titles that I'm excited for, so on Xbox have really yet to come out. But I did love the Medium when it came out this year. I thought it would have been better if it would have been out with the console to give Xbox some type of like exclusive game. Like I know that they put out Gears Tactics around the same time. They had Tetris Effect connected, but those were both that you could play on Xbox One. It would have been maybe different if that would have been where Gears Tactics came out instead of like I think 5 months before it came out on PC. If it would have came out like day and date that same time. So so yeah, the Xbox side of games like first party exclusive titles are kind of lacking. Now what Xbox does have over PlayStation is Game Pass. I will speak to this day that Game Pass is one of the best things I've invested my time in and money into because I just did recently I put out a tweet detailing the games I've played on the service just this year alone. I broke down how much each one of those games individually would have cost had I not been subscribed to Game Pass. I put out how much I paid in Game Pass this year because I'm off the dollar plan. I'm paying $15 a month now for it. I still would recommend it even at 15. And then I put how much that total would have cost me if I would have bought all those games by myself versus playing them on Game Pass, and so how much I saved. And it was like 300 and some dollars in savings, and just this year alone in gaming and games that I played, games that I enjoyed, and stuff like that. So Game Pass, like that value right there, especially if you're looking at third party titles. There was Mech Warrior 5, which I'm actually enjoying playing. There was Outriders that came out. If you like sports, MLB The Show. I'm not a big sports fan, but hey, if you are and you don't want to pay the $60 or $70 to get it on PlayStation, boom, it's right there on Xbox Game Pass for you. They have Dungeons and Dragons, which looks like a great co-op game that I'm excited to play with my wife. Right there, you have value right there of stuff that we know is out right now on the platform and stuff that's going to be coming out. So especially like Dirt 5 was a great racing game and I enjoyed. That was a $60 game. So instead of me paying $60, like I played it on Game Pass, I got my fill of it, I enjoyed it, and I uninstalled. And so stuff like that, I think, is where like on the game side of stuff, Xbox far exceeds over PlayStation. Now, PlayStation does have PlayStation Now, but there's some things I'm not a big fan of it. Like you don't get the PlayStation, so like Borderlands, Marvel, stuff like that, like is on there, but you don't get the upgraded versions of the PS5 version of them. So I think that that's kind of weird. I wish Sony would kind of address that and find a way to let those versions of the game get the upgrades. Because I feel like if I'm a PlayStation 5 user and here I am playing these titles on my PlayStation 5, why am I not getting upgrades for them through this service? I think PlayStation Now should definitely have those service. I also think PlayStation Now still not having a way to natively play PS3 games on the PlayStation 5 is just bonkers. I wish that they would kind of find a way where you can download that game versus streaming it off of their servers because I'm not a big fan of that if I'm on a console. Like I can do that, on my phone. That's great. But doing it on like if I'm playing on my console, I want to be able to download this game so I don't have that input lag and stuff like that on my controller. So the PlayStation does have it, and it is cheaper. I think it's like $60 for a year or $10 a month. So if you are a PlayStation user, you do have that option. There's tons of games on there. I'm pretty sure you can find, the value that you want in it. But for me, I think Game Pass is the bigger part of the value. So that's the games. Um, that's I'm going. That's the game aspect of it. I would say PlayStation definitely wins on the exclusive side. But there's titles I'm looking forward to coming out like Fable, Crossfire X, Scorn, stuff like that, and Halo Infinite. And I'm pretty sure the Psychonauts 2. There's tons of games on Xbox that are going to be exclusive to Game Pass and Xbox platform that I am excited to play. It's just we're waiting. We're sitting here. We're just waiting for them to come out. And I'm hoping that they're great. E3 is right around the corner, so hopefully we get some more set dates for stuff. But the Xbox right now, as a platform as itself, does not have very many first party titles that would get you into it. If you're looking though at games wise, I would say Xbox has more multiplayer first party titles that are bigger than PlayStation. So you got like Halo, Gears, Forza, stuff like that. I know on PlayStation, I think they're still active. You'd have factions from Last of Us, maybe Uncharted 4, and maybe Gran Turismo. I'm not too sure how much those online communities are, but they don't have like any big first person competitive or third person like very competitive games like Gears of War or Halo. I mean, those games still live on today, and people are still playing them over and over and over because the quality of that multiplayer shooter is still there. It's still alive. Now, obviously, third party titles are going to be the same across both platforms. Whether you play Call of Duty on Xbox, play Call of Duty on PlayStation, you're not really going to see too much of a difference. So like I wouldn't, fully base like multiplayer games on. I'm just solely talking about multiplayer first party titles. I think would still go to Xbox. I'm hoping Halo Infinite is going to be a banger. It has to be. It literally has to be amazing for Xbox to have like any credibility and not take a big blow. Because if Halo Infinite comes out and it's gonna suck, that's gonna be a huge blow to Microsoft. It's gonna be a huge blow to Xbox. And that's gonna be a huge blow to the community that's been waiting for this game for years on end. So that's done. I'm done talking about the games. I would lean towards single player first party titles on PlayStation. But if you're looking for value, I think Game Pass and what it holds there is definitely more valuable and better on Xbox. So that's where your kind of pros and cons are. If we're looking at features, so I'm going to go on to the features of the next system. The features mostly I want to talk about here is FPS boost on Xbox. I absolutely love FPS boost. Now you'll sit there and you'll have everybody on the PlayStation side touting, oh, old games, old games, old games, old games. I don't care. The FPS boost gave me the opportunity to go back and enjoy the games in a way better light, like playing Skyrim at 60 FPS, playing Fallout 4 at 60 FPS, Fallout 76. Like they just have a slew of titles that are just coming out left and right that they have these frame rate boosts on them, and I think that's great for game preservation, especially since you got a whole entire generation that they can go back and do this on. There's so many games on the Xbox One that were stuck at 30 that people would like to have gone back or maybe they're even their first time playing it. So just because it might be an old game to you does not mean it's going to be an old game to somebody else. Like I recently played which is, I don't know if I'm going to get a lot of flack for it. I've actually played Recore this year. That was the first. I never played Recore at all. There's big talk about it being compared to Returnal, and I'm going to say right now, Recore and Returnal are not the same whatsoever. Do not get that construed. Do not get that mixed up. They are not the same. I cannot repeat that enough. Those two games are not the same. But playing Recore at 60 FPS was amazing. It was great. It looked good. It felt good, and I actually enjoyed Recore. And it was one of the older titles that got the FPS boost that I actually enjoyed and played. Like that's what I feel like was a great feature out of it. PlayStation does not really have. I mean, they have done upgrades to some of their big games. So Ghost of Tsushima has a 60 FPS update. Last of Us 2 finally, almost a year or over a year, I think almost a year later, finally got a 60 FPS patch, which I was just like, that's one of your biggest franchises, Sony. How have we not done this? Like, you had a 60 FPS patch for a game that came out Ghost of Tsushima came out, July of last year? Can't remember the exact date, July or September. I'm very confused. And they had a 60 FPS patch out for the PlayStation 5 that same year. So for them taking a year to do the 60 FPS patch on Last of Us, I just think is crazy. And even like with Horizon Zero Dawn, which they're gearing up for Horizon Forbidden West's gameplay. They still haven't come out with a 60 FPS patch for that game. I know that there's been a lot of people asking for that. So for like feature wise, like the FPS boost is amazing on the Xbox console. I can't talk highly enough about it enough. I kind of hope Xbox, or not Xbox, I hope PlayStation will follow suit a little bit more and start putting more of the FPS boost stuff out. Whether they be able to do it internally or developers can do it and stuff. Because right now it seems like for the most part, the developers and the publishers are the one doing the FPS boost and stuff like that for PlayStation. But on Xbox, it's literally the system doing it. You know, it's not even a patch that is made by the developer or put out by the publisher. It is what the system does. So Xbox is just going through figuring out what games that they can do it, and then they enable it on the system, and then boom, you can turn it off if you want, but I don't know why you would. So features aspect and stuff like that, I would definitely go heavily towards more Xbox, especially since Xbox does have expandable memory. I know both systems you can hook up an external hard drive to them, but you can't play like the PS5 version of the games or the Xbox Series X version of the games off of that. You need it into you need onto either your little memory card on Xbox or SSD built inside the system. And then the PlayStation 5, you only have the 800 and some gigabyte SSD, which I still think is kind of a little bit weird that Sony hasn't put out any expandable memory options for the console. I know that they're supposed to be doing something in the summer that we can expand it. For me, I haven't really come into too many issues with the PlayStation 5 storage, mostly because I'm only playing the exclusive titles on it, and I can move those off the hard drive and re-download stuff very easily. Since I'm not using it as much, if that was like the same for my Xbox, it'd be a little crazy, because I have my 4 terabyte hard drive, my 1 terabyte little thumbstick, whatever they call it, installed in the back, and my internal like almost full. I think I have like a terabyte left of space. So I couldn't imagine like on the PlayStation side, people that are heavily gamers, trying to manage that. I don't have any experience with that, but from what I have on the system, I haven't had to need any expansion memory and stuff for it, but it would be nice to just have that so I don't have to move anything as it is. I wish they would have put out an option. Now the Xbox option is definitely a little bit more expensive. $220 is definitely a steep price for especially a little thing that's literally like this big. So with both pros and cons of the systems, I would say features definitely on the Xbox side over PlayStation. Other than, I would say, if I want to talk about the controllers, so the PlayStation 5 DualSense is definitely a nice controller. It definitely has a good feel to it. It has a good the rumbles, stuff like that. Especially if you play Astro's Playroom, definitely you get the feel of what this baby can do. I think that's great. And then the feel of the rumbles and stuff like that. You can feel the rain falling down, stuff like that. So the DualSense controller is awesome. I don't like the speaker though. I don't like the built-in microphone, and I don't like the built-in speaker. That's just things that I don't like. Because mostly when I game, I'm wearing headphones. I can't hear the speaker. And I just don't like having a dedicated microphone just already attached to my controller without any option to just remove it. Even though there is obviously options that you can turn it off and stuff like that. The Xbox controller. So here's just a standard Xbox Series X controller. I do like the Xbox's controllers basically don't fix what doesn't need to be fixed and update what does. So the Xbox Series X controller is going to be your Xbox One controller for the most part, but I feel like it is a little bit more sturdy. I feel like it's a lot better. Obviously, the only downfall is it's still, for some reason, Xbox can't get away from the AA batteries. So I did end up buying it was like a $15 rechargeable battery that can actually recharge via USB-C, which those are actually kind of hard to find. I found one actually yesterday. So the Series X controller is very nice. It has fast response time and stuff like that, so I would recommend it. But if you're looking for like, next gen features, I guess the PlayStation 5 controller is where you can look. Although I don't base what I play my games on off of a controller. It's just whatever I feel more comfortable on. And then I still have my Series Elite 2 controller, which I think is still my favorite controller that's ever come out. I can't talk highly enough about this controller. Absolutely love it. So that's the controller side. So for final verdict, I would give I would give what I would say is the Series X is definitely more of an advantage on the system aspect and what features and stuff it has. So with Game Pass, with FPS boost, with your your expandable memory stuff like that, Xbox is definitely my place to go to. Now, if you're looking for exclusive titles, that's where you're going to be at Sony. So, without that, I play mostly on Xbox, but I love my PlayStation 5 just the same. It's just my preferred platform or choice to play on. So, let me know what you guys think and what you guys prefer. What are you guys playing on? What games you're excited for and stuff like that. Leave comments below. Hit that like button if you like this video. And I'll catch you guys next time.